And at the same time, I'm going to disable my camera. I will put my camera on towards the end of the session. Landile, welcome. I see you've just joined. If you don't mind, use the link that I'm just posting here now. Click on that link and then add your student number in the, and we just follow the prompts as required. So I'm sharing my screen again and showing you the presentation. So all our sessions are recorded. And the reason we record the sessions is so that students are able to access the sessions at a later stage. Not everyone can sign in at 4 o'clock or is available at 4 o'clock. Not everyone can stay on till 6 o'clock, and maybe you want to, still get the information that we've covered. So we make those available on my UNISA, the Western Cape region site. And let me just copy and paste the link, and I'll post it in the, when I'm done with the slide, then I'll post it. You're able to access the recordings and the notes in the schedule that you will also find on the My UNISA Western Cape region. You simply click on the button called Notes and Recordings. I'm going to post the link in the chat. So this is the link that you can follow. And I suggest you keep it somewhere that's easily accessible. So in the meeting chat, you will see the link that you can follow. It'll take you to the Western Cape region site. So I'm going to share my screen with you and just show you again how to get there. So here I have the link, and I'm just going to click on it. And because I'm already logged into my UNISA, I'm going straight to my modules. But usually what happens is that you will be asked to log into my UNISA. Your login details are the same details, your email address, UNISA email address, and your password that you usually use to log into my UNISA. All of the same things you need to get to the Western Cape region site. So you scroll down, and this is how I come into the session. I open up Teams on my laptop. I log into my UNISA. I go to the Western Cape region. I go to the Writing Center. I find the schedule, and then I join the session like this. I don't come in via the link. Now for the notes and the recordings of the sessions, you can find there, you simply click on this button and it'll open up another tab. And there you will find all of the recordings since I started running these sessions. So if you scroll down, the 25th was just an introductory session, the 27th. And I think the first 3 sessions, if not the first 4 sessions, no, the first 3 sessions we spent on assignment 1, looking at the minutes and that email. And then on the 3rd, we started talking about the report. So that's how you access the recordings, okay? You go to the My Modules Western Cape region Writing Center, go down to the schedule, click on Notes and Recordings, all right? So now what I want to do is I want to show you how to get to the notes. At the top, above the actual videos of the recorded sessions, there's a gray bar, and you simply click on that gray bar and it opens up a new tab. And you may or may not see a screen that looks like this because you will have a student view. My view is different, but you just simply find the ENN1504 folder, and there you go to semester 2, and there you will find the notes. Now the notes are simply some of the PowerPoint slides that I select that are most relevant to the session. So if you click on this, you'll see they are PDF documents and not PowerPoint presentations, which you can then just at your own, during your own time, just go through again. Or if you're not able to make a session, you can see what was covered with notes at hand and look at the recording. So at this stage, are there any questions? For people who have just joined and haven't done so yet, please can you complete the register by clicking on the Accolade attendance register that I've just posted in the meeting chat, and put your student number into the document, into the form that loads. Thank you. So we're going back to the presentation. There's a feedback form that I will need you to complete before you leave the meeting, and I will post that link in the meeting chat towards the end of the presentation. So something that I have just decided to do is I have created a WhatsApp group, and I am going to post the link to join the chat or to join the group. You need to join via a link, which I will post into the meeting chat now. I know it's a lot of stuff going on in the chat, but that's the only way I can reach you. So let me just do that quickly. I'm just going to find it. So if you're wanting to join the WhatsApp group that I've created, there's the link to join the ENN1504 semester 2 WhatsApp group. And I will use this space to remind you or to let you know that I'm running a session. If you're wanting to interact with me and you're needing support for your assignment, you can use that space to do that and to contact me and to ask me specific questions of relevance to what you need in that space. And I am requiring of everyone to adhere to the general WhatsApp etiquette that one would require to adhere to when it comes to WhatsApp. All right. Patience, I see your message. That's fine. As long as you've put your contact details, not your contact details, I'm sorry, your student number in the register. Zukiswa, please, thanks for your student number, but I need you to please post your student number in the academic literacies attendance register. I've just posted it in the chat again, and I will post this for those of you who want to join that way, join the WhatsApp group. I'll put the WhatsApp group link in the chat again at closer to the end of the session. If I forget, please remind me to. Okay, so let's get stuck in today. Just the last slide with regards to the other things that we provide in terms of the support. And please bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that the support comes in light of the fact that we've needed to move face-to-face tutorials online, but you also have an e-tutor that you can interact with for this module. And it's really important that you interact with your e-tutor, because as distance learning students, everything is to be done online. I may not be the the it may be better for you to interact with your e-tutor, but if you're wanting an answer more immediately, then you can contact me on the WhatsApp group. And always contact via the group and limit the private conversations. I'm wanting to keep everything in one space just to make life easy for everyone and we can all learn from each other. So another service that we provide is we review your writing under the banner of the Writing Center, and you're able to email your draft assignments to ctntat@unisa.ac.za, and then you copy me. This is my email address, my UNISA email address, and you put your student's number, and it must come from your UNISA email address. It's very important that you understand this. This semester I'm going to be particularly strict. Last semester I was accepting requests for reviewing assignments from personal email addresses, but this semester I won't respond if you're sending it from a Hotmail, from a Gmail, from a work email address. It must come from your My Life email address. It's really important that you use this in the same way that your lecturers will not accept or not consider communication from you that doesn't come from your My Life email address. It's also important that you send it to me in a Word format and not in PDF, because I use functionality in Word to comment and give suggestions in the draft assignment. So today, we're just going to recap the report structure. We're looking specifically at report writing. We're going to look at the report structure and the headings. And then if you have any questions about the headings or the report structure, I'll give you an opportunity to do that. And that'll be in a minute or so. More specifically, we're looking at the investigative report. We're looking at the structure and the format of the investigative report, and more specifically, to drill down to the real detail of today, we're looking at the title and the terms of reference. Later on, I'll give you some details on the next workshop, and we'll do a checkout. So just a quick recap, and this is what we covered in the last session, where we've spoke very briefly and very broadly and in general about the short formal report and those page numbers. Please go to your study guide and your workbook. Maybe you need pen and note paper to take these things down so that you can go and interact with your learning material. I drew your attention to the importance of a progress report, and those are the page numbers on which you will find information on the progress report. We're not going to look at the progress report for the duration of these sessions. We're going to specifically look at the investigative report, and we're doing that so that you are able to complete assignment 2 successfully and to give you as much support as possible for assignment 2. On assignment 2, I'm sure you know by now, you would have received an email from Dr. Shandu, the lead lecturer for this module, to inform you that the due date for assignment 2 has been extended to the 25th of September. Has let's just see how you're doing there. Um, do you have any comments or questions at this point? Are you all aware? Can I get a thumbs up or a yes or a no as to whether you are familiar with the extension date? Has everyone received that email? Yeah. Thanks, Bilkis. Okay. All right. Excellent. So so that's why I'm going to run a series of workshops, and I'm not going to rush with the investigative report, and that's why today we're only spending time on the title and the terms of reference, because there's enough time for you to get to grips with each of the headings of the investigative report. It's really important that you get to grips with it. And the reason I say that is so that you are also then prepared for the exam should you be asked to write an investigative report in the exam. Okay. Namtla, welcome. I see you've just joined. Can I ask you to please, if you scroll up the meeting chat, you will see a link that, or I'll just repost it here. Please, can you click on the link and then put your student number into the form that loads after you've clicked on the link. Okay, so last week we spoke about the types of reports. So here, just to give you, a bit of a memory jog for those of you who were in the session last week, or even if you weren't, but you've been reading through the study guide in the workbook. I'd like you in the meeting chat to type as many of the headings of the investigative report that you can remember, and I want you to type it in the meeting chat. So, name as many of the headings of the investigative report that you can remember in the meeting chat, and you can do so now. And I will stop sharing the presentation so that I can see how it's going. And it doesn't have to be in the order. All I'm wanting to see is whether you remember or if you're familiar. Yes, okay. Whatever you can remember, I don't want you to go to your don't go to your study guide. It's just what do you remember. So Nolutandu's already told us there's the title and the findings. Anybody else? Conclusion, yeah. Come on. Pumza, thanks, Pumza. Proceedings. Procedures, Andre. You mean procedures? Yes, all right. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah. You're relying on your memory, so that's all right. Yeah. Thanks, Pumza and Bilki's recommendations. So let's see. Okay, the name of the person who ordered you to write the report. Okay. Ending, thanks, Zohar. So maybe the word ordered is a little bit, it sounds like a demand. um, but yeah, I get you, Nolutandu. I hear what you're saying. Thanks, Suha. Yes, we have the ending. So you've covered almost all of them. There's one area that's missing, one section that's missing. Well done, Pumza. Yes, the terms of reference. Yes, Suha. You got the Pumza beat you to it. Um, so fantastic. That's great. All right. Okay. So yeah, I'm pleased to hear that you're familiar with these headings. And for now, then the order of the headings, they're not really important. Um, and you actually don't really need to know them off by heart, the order, because your tutorial letter and your exam question will actually give you the headings. But it's important that you're familiar with what those headings are. More importantly is what goes inside or below or within those headings. So that's what we're going to look at today. For the people who just joined, I see some people have already joined the WhatsApp group. I will post something later. Do you want me to repost where is it? I'll repost the link for the WhatsApp group. Okay, so if you want to join the WhatsApp group that I've created, please feel free to join that group there. So we're going to go back to the presentation now. So well done to all of you for recalling all of those headings, and someone even recalled some of the detail, and that's fantastic. So our structure of the report consists of the following, and this is the order in which they have to appear in your report, in an investigative report. We've got the title, there's the terms of reference, there's the procedures, the findings, the conclusions, the recommendations, and the ending, which is the compiler's details. The compiler is the person who wrote the report. Sometimes in the real world, this won't necessarily always be one person. It will be a team, but for your purposes, for your assignment, um, it's an individual, so it will be one person's name and the details that are required in that place. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to spend time on the title and the terms of reference. So in the investigative report, the title is really all about two questions. What is being investigated and where is this investigation taking place? So two very simple questions. You need to make sure those two questions are answered in your title. And if you cast your mind back to clarity and how we achieve clarity in our business writing, then the what and the where there are two of those 5W questions that I spoke about in previous sessions, and I'll touch on it later on again today. So just to give you a bit more detail about the title says or states what the matter or the problem to be investigated is, or the issue is. And it also states where this matter or problem occurs. Remember, in an investigative report, there is a situation a problem, a matter, an issue that needs to be investigated. And your title says very clearly what that matter, problem, issue is and where this matter, problem, issue is situated or occurs. So, a question to you. Where will you find this information? And you can just put it in the chat to answer the question. Where will you find the information related to the matter that must be investigated, the name of the company or the business or the entity or the organization where this matter or the problem occurs? Where will you get this information from? Okay. Thanks, Pumza. Yes, you will find it in the background. Do you agree? Is everyone in agreement that it is to be found in the background? You can just give a thumbs up. Okay, thanks, Ukiswa. Thanks, Andre. That's great. All right. So let's put it to the test. I'm going to give you something to do. I want you to go to your tutorial letter and I want you to go to page 22 and you'll see it is semester one's assignment 2. And I want you to read the background there. And I want you to identify for me, and I want you to put these two things in the chat. And you can just say number 1 and number 2. You don't have to say matter to be investigated and where the matter occurs. Just say what the answer to number 1 is and what the answer to number 2 is. So you're going to go to page 22 of your tutorial letter. It is last semester's investigative report assignment that had to be done. And I want you to read the background and I want you to find what is the matter that must be investigated and I want you to name the company or where this matter occurs. And you put those two answers in the chat for me. So I'll give you a few minutes to get your bearings. For those of you who don't have hard copies printed, you might have to minimize uh, um, the Teams chat. You might have to, you know, open up the PDF documents that you downloaded. Do what you need to do, but read the background on page 22 and then identify the matter to be investigated and where this matter occurs. I'll put it into the chat so that everybody can see it, just to keep it at the top of your mind. Just give me an answer to numbers 1 and number 2. I'll give you about 5 minutes, okay? And I'll mute my microphone for 5 minutes. And then when we come back, you can start posting your answers in the chat. I see some people have posted their responses in the chat already. Thanks for that. I'm going to give you a few more minutes to do so. Okay. If anybody's still busy typing, please go ahead and put it in the chat. So yeah, that's great. I see excellent, Andre. Yeah, the publishing of books. The investigation is going to be about the publishing of books in local indigenous languages. Pumza said, yes, the report is going to be the report is going to be about the investigation into the possibility of publishing books in the local indigenous languages. And both of you have said yes, Pages for Ages. Excellent. The name of the company. And Leanne has said the same. Investigate the possibility of the publishing of books in the local indigenous languages, and Pages for Ages is the company. Yes, well done. So for the people who haven't had a chance to put anything in the chat, here's going to be, I'm going to give you another opportunity. So you'll see that today's an interactive session where you've got to have nimble fingers and do your best to participate. It's important that you participate and not just listen to, me rambling on and on. Um, Firstly, it keeps you engaged. Secondly, you're going to be learning. And thirdly, it's going to keep you awake because I'm sure, you don't want to be falling asleep. It's a beautiful hot day and you might be sitting in the nice warm sun and we don't want you dozing off. All right, so what I want you to do now is I'm going to push you a little bit. I want you to try to write the title for this report. And all our titles for reports, for investigative reports rather, begin with the following words. Well done, Bilkis. It begins with, oops, I didn't mean for it to be that big, but it's because I'm copying and pasting straight from my presentation. So maybe let's just go into the slide and then it will look a little bit better and it'll make a bit more sense. So what you've done now is you've identified You've attempted to answer those two questions. Firstly, what is the matter that's being, or the situation, or the problem, or the issue that needs to be investigated? And secondly, you've identified where this situation, what the context is, what's the name of the company, what's the name of the business, or the entity, or the organization where this matter or this problem exists, where it occurs. So, what I want you to do now is I want you in the chat to attempt to write the title for this report. And your title always begins, for an investigative report, your title always begins with the following words: report on an investigation into. And you allowed for this exercise to put your all caps on, because when we are writing our title for our report, or when we are typing it, we type it in capital letters because it is the title. So I want you to attempt, using the information that you found in number 1 and number 2, I want you to attempt the title for this report that needs to be written. And begin your title with report on an investigation into. And I'll stop sharing the presentation now. So let's see what you come up with. Pumza, you're asking in which one? So it's, I'm not sure I understand your question. Do you maybe want to unmute your microphone and then just tell me what you mean? So you're not giving the title for your actual assignment. You are giving the title for last semester's assignment 2, page 22. So you're going to attempt to write the title for that investigative report that students had to write last semester. I hope that's what you were asking me, because I don't understand your question. Oh, okay. All right. So just to help you and to guide you. Yes, Bilkis, that's a good first attempt, but there's something missing in your answer. You need to include the where the matter occurs, because you've not just got the matter. Remember, your title must consist of two things: what the matter is and where this matter occurs. So keep what you have and add on to it. Leanne, that's also a good attempt. I would change the word by to something else. See if you can use a different word there, a different preposition. Also 2 letters. Mm-hmm. Yes, good stuff, Bilkis. Of course, don't forget, I mean, I'll forgive you now that you haven't got pages for ages in all caps. But, you know, obviously when you're typing, you're going to have it in all caps. So we've got two offers on the table. Anybody else want to add to it? Okay. Simvuyile, if you were listening, I'll give you the same feedback as I gave Leanne. The word by pages for ages, I want you to change the word by to a different 2-letter word. It's going to tell me, that's going to give me more an indication as to where this investigation is happening. Because you've got the bit that's telling me what's being investigated. So you need to change the word by, because the word by, if you read what both you and Leanne have said, if you're saying report on investigation into the publishing of local indigenous books by Pages for Ages, you're actually telling me that it is Pages for Ages who's conducting the investigation. And in the title, we're not saying yet, we're not saying who is conducting it. We need to say what the investigation is. It's the publishing of local indigenous books and where. Yes, 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 Leanne. Well done. So those little words, they count. Okay? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm hoping that you actually writing this out, or if you somebody who works, if you're working on a computer, that you're actually typing it out uh, in a Word document. Yes, excellent, Pumza. Yeah, yeah. So this is great. Report on an investigation into the publishing of books in the local indigenous languages at Pages for Ages. Okay. So well done for your first attempt at a title. So some of you will need to, like in Pumza, you need to maybe just tweak it a little bit, but you're getting the idea. You are answering those 2 questions, okay? And so if you keep that in mind, and if you read your background really carefully, you're able to locate that information in the background. So just a couple of some additional information that you need to bear in mind when you are formulating your title. So I'm going to start with report on an investigation into, and you state the matter that's being investigated, and it is always going to go Hello? Can you hear me? Or are we experiencing?
Yes, I hear you, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thanks, Namhla. I think for a minute there, my network, uh, I'm getting a note that my network is causing um, poor quality, and it felt like initially. Okay, cool. All right, thanks. I was a bit worried that the network dropped. It. We've been having intermittent power outages, not for long, just like 5, 6 minutes at a time. And then, so I'm just worried that I thought it was one of those. It's just they're doing maintenance in my area and we're not supposed to have any load shedding today. So I was a bit worried that it's going to happen, but it's 5 o'clock already. So I doubt that the City of Cape Town electrical department is working at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. Let's hope they're not. So, all right. So, as I was saying, let's go back to, okay, all right. Okay, so let's go back to what I was trying to explain to you about what's important when you're formulating that title. So, you're always going to start with report on an investigation into, and then you state the matter that's being investigated, as you all said, the possibility of publishing books in the local indigenous languages, and you're always using the small word, or the correct term is the preposition at, okay, because it suggests a place, the name of the company or the organization or the entity or the department where this matter that's being investigated is situated. Now, if the name of the entity is a department, so for example, some of the state owned entities or within a company, even, you might in your background be given the name of a department that exists within a company, then you're going to use the word in. So instead of report on an investigation into the possibility of publishing books in the local indigenous languages, then it's going to say in the editing department at Pages for Ages. Or another example would be report on an investigation into the feasibility of installing laptops in the operations department at Pages for Ages, because I can't think of another company right now. I hope this makes sense. Can I get an indication in the chat that you've understood that you might have to use different prepositions depending on the details given to you in the background? It could be in the Department of Finance at Pages for Ages. But if you're not given, if it's not a department that you're needing to, in which the matter that is being investigated is situated, then you would just go at the name of the company. Has everybody got that? Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Bilkis. So I'm going to give you another little exercise, and it's important that you do that you would try the exercises, because that's how you're going to, when you leave today's session, you will be able to write the title of your investigative report for assignment 2, and you will be able to write the terms of reference, and you will have the first two sections of your report done. So in your study guide on page 57, I want you to read for me, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. Study guide, page 57. Maybe you want to pull that up so long. And I'll put it in the chat also. Study guide, page 57. study guide, page 57. Okay. So what you're going to do for me now is I'm giving you the I hope you can see it. I'm giving you the title. What I want you to do for me in the chat is tell me what is being investigated and where's this investigation taking place. So here is the title of the report. I want you to tell me what is being investigated and where is this investigation taking place. And you can do it, type it in the chat. I will leave this on the screen so that in case you don't have your have it at hand, then you can see it right there, and then just type it in the chat for me. Report on an investigation into the impact of the new performance bonus scheme within Merchant Bank Limited. I want to know from you what is being investigated and where. In other words, what is the name of the entity in which the investigation is situated? Okay, Andre and Leanne, yeah. Okay. Andre, do you want to tell us where? Anyone else want to give us something? Okay, Zukiswa, thank you. But I'm wanting to know from you what is being investigated. And I'm wanting to know where is this investigation happening? Because I'm wanting to see if you're able to separate the two parts of the title. That's what I'm wanting to see. Yes. Yeah, that's great, Pumza. Excellent, Luanda. I'm glad you caught up. Yes, well done. This is great, Bilkis. Yeah, okay. So Zukiswa, maybe you want to just, you can see other people's responses. So maybe you just want to break up what you've given us. I want to just make sure that you got it. Just go what and then where. Yes, okay, excellent, Zukiswa. That's the where. But now what is being investigated? See if you can try that. If you can answer that. My apologies. I didn't realize that my microphone was off. So I've highlighted something for you here. And what I'd like you to do is to write out in full in the chat the full title, which begins with Report on an Investigation into, and you complete the what and the where. You've been given all the information that you need in these sentences that have been highlighted here. So begin your answer with report on an investigation into what and where. Any takers for this one? If you want to unmute your microphone and share the answer verbally, that's also okay. Let's see what Bilkis has done. Okay. Yeah. Bilkis, you could even take out the words possibility. You could just say report on an investigation into implementing staff uniforms at ABC Consulting. Okay. So do you feel confident now that you can go and formulate the title, an adequate title for your assignment? Yes, that's good. That's good, Andre. Yeah. Report on an investigation into the implementation of staff uniforms at ABC. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Sukiswa. You're feeling great. You're feeling confident. Excellent. Okay, so shall we move on then? Okay, can you all hear me? Because for a minute there, I lost the connection. Okay, so let's move on then. So your title, ensure that your report title is relevant to the type of report. It's explicit, it's clear, it's not too long. It's a true reflection of the content, and it doesn't have any jargon in it. And you'll see from all of the ones that you've practiced with, they're very straightforward, and that they're not too long. It's explicit and it's relevant to the report. So let's move on then to the title. To end off is what is being investigated and where's the investigation taking place. So in the same vein, your terms of reference also need to answer very specific questions. So, who commissioned whom? Where and when? What is the purpose of the report? And what is the submission date? And to be more specific, your terms of reference, which is the first heading that you're going to number, you'll notice that the title does not have any number. So number 1 is going to be your heading that is called the terms of reference. So you need to make sure that in the terms of reference, you state the date when the investigation is commissioned, authorized, or requested. Those 3 words all mean the same thing. Commissioned, authorized, requested. Your terms of reference also state the name and the designation of the person who commissioned the investigation. It also states the name and designation of the person who has been commissioned to investigate the matter. Then you've got to state what the matter is, but you also have to state where the matter occurs. Lastly, you must state when the report is to be submitted and to whom the report is to be submitted. So again, my question to you is, where will you find this information? In the chat, please indicate for me where you will find this information that I've just referred to. Can you tell me in the chat where you would find? Okay. It looks like my network is up and down, and I'm not sure why I'm leaving the meeting, joining the meeting. So I'm not sure what you heard and what you didn't hear. What I'm asking you is all of what I just went through now uh, with regards to the terms of reference. Where would you find the information that must be contained within the the terms of reference? Can somebody post that in the chat for me, please? So if this is all the information that must be contained within your terms of reference, where are you going to find this information? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You're going to find it in the background. Okay. So, and the reason I'm going through this so slowly, what are you taking away about the background? I mean, is it just there for, yes, thanks, Luanda, you get the information in the background. So, are you understanding why the background that you are provided with is so important to the assignment? Um, because, and I can't emphasize enough the value of reading through the background really, really carefully and slowly and making sense of it. So, let's see if you can come up with identifying aspects of the terms of reference. And you're going to have a look at in your study guide. I'm just trying to pull it up so that I can share it. It's page 51. Doesn't want to load into my share tray. Oh dear. Let's see if we can do this now. Come on. Okay, let's just do my desktop, which is not ideal, but okay. So, study guide, page 51. Okay, so here we have terms of reference. Okay, highlighted there on the screen for you. And if you have it in front of you, then that's fantastic. And what I want you to do is, I want you to identify for me the information that is important. Okay, so I'm sharing my desktop, so you're seeing all of this at the moment. Okay, so tell me if you can see this. The date, when the investigation, the date of the investigation, the name of the person who was asked to complete the investigation, to do the investigation, the name of the person who was commissioned to investigate the matter, or the person who commissioned, who requested that the investigation happens, what the matter is, where the matter occurs, when the report must be submitted, and to whom it has to be submitted. Can anyone find that and then just post it in the chat for us? And it doesn't matter. I mean, I'll call it out as you type. Or if you want to unmute your microphone, if that's going to be quicker, then that's fine. So there's it up on the screen at the moment, what you're looking at from the study guide. So let's see if we can identify the parts of the terms of reference. So the date is quite obvious, isn't it? But who wants to identify for me in the chat the designation of the person, or rather the name of the person who authorized the investigation? Who commissioned the investigation? Okay. Yes. Yes. Vilkis, do you want to say?
Hi, is it this Dr. Ivan Mizemla, Chief Executive Officer?
I'm not sure what you're looking at.
Oh shoot, wait. Oh, just hold on quickly.
We're looking at page 51 of your
51.
study guide.
Oh, sorry. There's Dr. James Spencer.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Excellent. Yes. So Dr. James Spencer is the person who has commissioned the investigation. But we also need to say, like many of you are now starting to say in the chat, what Dr. Spencer's designation is. His designation is he's the Director General of Petroleum Affairs. So it's his position in the company that's really, or in the entity, in the organization, that's really important. And it's this person is obviously in a position of authority. A director general reports directly to the minister of a state, or the minister of a state-owned entity. And so, that's how things work in our country anyway. And so this person carries the necessary authority through their designation within the organization to authorize, to commission an investigation. Okay, so that's really important information that you need to provide. The date, the name of the person, and the official capacity of the person who commissioned the investigation. And it's that official capacity of the person um, that carries the authority to request that investigation. You also need to provide, as I said earlier, you need to provide the name of the person who has been authorized. Um, Now, is that information in this example that I've given you here, is that information available? Yes or no? Thanks, Pumza. Okay. All right. Okay, so Pumza's giving us the information here, and she's saying that it has to be submitted to the Deputy Director by the 30th of September 2013. Deputy Director is the designation of the person. So we're not given a name, but we're given the designation or the official capacity of the person um, to whom the recommendation is to be submitted. But you also see that it has to be submitted by a certain time. Okay, so if you look at let's just go to another example here in your workbook. I think it was um, page 104 in your workbook, if you've got it. Okay. And I'm just going to share that with you quickly. Okay, so if you look here, this I'm looking at this here. So who wants to unmute the microphone and tell me to whom the report must be submitted? To whom must the report be submitted?
I think Mrs. Nell. Truly.
Are you sure? Remember the question is saying, to whom must it be submitted? I'm not asking who authorized it. Yes, it must be submitted to the mayor. Thanks, Rwando. It's got to be submitted to the mayor. Okay? Yes, great, Zukiswa. So, Mrs. Neo Mdluli, or Ms. Mdluli, who is the mayor of Tembeletu municipality, authorized it, and it has to be submitted to her also. Okay, so yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, you're right, Tim. Simvuyile, you were right in that instance. What if there's no submission name? Okay, Andre, is that your question? What happens if there's no submission name? Um, was that you asking the question, or Andre, go ahead and ask your question? Somebody's coming up as an unknown user. Andre, unmute your microphone and ask your question, please. Okay, so the question from someone who is described as an unknown user, and I'm not quite sure who it is saying, what if there's no name for, then you have to invent the name. You have to use your creativity and then provide a name of the person Most times you might be given one name, but sometimes it would be accepted for you to just provide the position of the person or the designation or the official capacity of that person in the organization who has to whom the document has to be submitted. Um, But sometimes it's also, oh, Taryn, hello, I see you as Taryn Thomas, but it's not identifying you. I see you on the, and you can see what I'm doing because I'm sharing my desktop. So here you come up as Taryn, but there, I don't know why. Anyway, um, so yeah. Okay, so does it answer the question? What if there's no submission name, Taryn? Does it answer your question? Okay, great. All right, I'm getting a thumbs up. That's excellent. Okay, so Taryn, if you don't mind, I know you've arrived late, but if you don't mind, I'm going to post the attendance register in the chat. It's a link. Just click on the link and then put your student number into the document that opens once you into the form that once you've clicked on the link. Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you look carefully at your terms of reference, so if we go here, okay, you will see, and let me just rather go back to my presentation. Did I share my screen? Oh, there's so many things I've got to remember here. Okay. If you look carefully at your terms of reference, again, it's quite, the word is formulaic, okay? So you start with words like on date, name of person, official capacity of person, requested that an investigation be carried out. And that's part of the formula. That's like your template. In other words, it's like a template. Into the possibility of introducing wireless internet connection IF in the Department of Petroleum Affairs. End of sentence. New sentence. A recommendation, and this is part of your template. A recommendation is to be submitted to official capacity of the person to whom it must be, the report must be submitted, and the date by when it must be submitted. But if you look at this carefully, I'll show you another example. Have a look at this on the screen here. Okay. Report on an investigation into the impact of the new performance bonus scheme within Merchant Bank Limited. Remember, this is one of the examples of the title that we looked at that we took apart. So have a look at the terms of reference that follow. Heading number 1, terms of reference. On date, and it's date, month, and year. Name of person, okay. Official capacity of person. Here's your template. Requested, or your formula, requested an investigation into the impact of the current performance-based incentive scheme. Now, there's some information missing there. What information is missing out of this first sentence here? And do you see that the title forms part of the terms of reference? Do you see that? Do you see how the title almost like is duplicated or stated again in the terms of reference? So that's why I spent quite a bit of time helping you, showing you how to formulate your title, because your title almost like, I don't want to use, collapses into your terms of reference. Your terms of reference, another word for terms of reference is the scope. Okay, I'll just share the screen again. So your terms of reference, another word for terms of reference is the background, okay, the brief, the scope. So what is the report about? What's being investigated? Who said it must be done? Who must it be handed to? By what date? On which date was the request made of the person? And where's this report? Where's this investigation taking place? So a lot of the information that comes from that sits in the terms of reference comes from the title. Okay. So my question to you is, what is missing here in the terms of reference that should come from the title? So if your title is made up of the what is being investigated, and here they've said the impact of the current performance-based incentive scheme, do we have the where in this terms of reference? No, we don't. So we should actually have added after this within Merchant Bank Limited. So even though the repetition is important, because that's just what needs to be provided. And then your second sentence, you can do one of two things. You can either say a recommendation is to be submitted, and yes, this report has to go to a committee, and by the 30th of April 2014, or you could say recommendations, plural, are to be submitted. Chances are that you might come up with more than one, but that is determined by the nature of your report, what the recommendation, whether it's a single recommendation or if it is a number of recommendations. So this sentence must tie up with what sits in your recommendations. Is it a single recommendation or is it a number of recommendations? And then you amend it. But to start off with, just use this formula. So what I want to leave you with is that your terms of reference, like your title, can be put together almost like using a template. Okay? And the template starts with on, you fill in the date, name of the person, designation of the person, requested, and then you take your whole title from the words investigation and you slot that into your terms of reference. That's the end of your first sentence. Then your second sentence is made up of a recommendation is to be submitted or recommendations are to be submitted to, and the name of the person to whom the report must be submitted and that person's designation if provided, and the date by when it needs to be submitted. So if you look carefully at the pages for ages example on page 22, some information is missing. And if you're looking at your assignment, some information might be missing. And whatever information is not provided, invent it. So, for example, your assignment says the report should be submitted within a month. A month from this date, the date that it has been requested. Does that make sense? Can I have a thumbs up in the chat, please? Is everyone following? Yeah, okay, I see that. Okay. Anybody else? Can I get more feedback? Is everyone still with us? Noted. All right. Okay, great. Excellent. Fabulous. Okay. So it's 10 to 6 or almost 10 to 6. We've got about 15 minutes left. So let's start wrapping up. So to recap the terms of reference. Your terms of reference will always include who commissioned whom, where and when. And when we're saying who commissioned whom, we must say their names, we must say their official capacity, we must say which department they're from. Sometimes sometimes they might sit in different departments. But that's all taken from your background. You need to read your background very carefully. So where's this investigation taking place? Okay. When was the investigation requested, commissioned, authorized? What is the investigation about? And that information comes straight from your title. By what date is it supposed to be submitted, and to whom must it be submitted? So an approach to your report that you've got to do for your assignment. Read the background very carefully to give you the context and the relevant information for the content. Invent content such as names, designations, dates, should that information not be provided. Always make sure that you adhere to the format, use the correct headings. And I pointed out to you that your title doesn't have a number and your numbering starts with number 1, terms of reference, very much in the same way that it's been given to you in the instructions to your assignment on page 31. So your report must always be written with clarity. And how do we achieve this clarity? We make sure that it's organized. And as I've said before in the previous session, the report is inherently organized because it comes with very definite headings. And so that structure is inherent to the investigative report. Secondly, write only what is necessary. So get to the point as quickly as possible. It must be complete. There must be no questions left in the mind of the report reader as to what's being investigated, what company are we talking about, when was this asked for, who authorized this, and why am I sitting with a report on my desk? I don't recall being asked for a report to being, all of this information is really relevant and it must be complete. It must be appropriate in style and tone, and the language must be accurate. So today we looked at the details of 2 aspects of the investigative report, the title and the terms of reference. The report is a structured document. It has headings and subheadings. Use the study guide and the workbook examples to help you understand what is required below each heading. Don't plagiarize. I can't say that enough. Many students Because they're not reading what is in the study guide, what's in the workbook, not reading through the tutorial letter carefully, slowly, word for word, they Google and they copy and paste from reports that they find on the internet. And you're not going to get good marks, because when you do that, you're not necessarily going to meet the requirements of your assignment, which is very specific. So it's important that you do your own work, and that you go through the study guide like I've shown you. The study guide and the workbook, they have fantastic examples that explain in deep detail what is required below each heading. So next week, this is what, or not, actually not next week, next session. On Friday afternoon, same time as today, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, we are going to look at in detail, what do we mean by procedures? What do we mean by findings? This is specifically heading 2 and heading 3 of your investigative report. And again, in painstaking detail, I'll go through it with you, show you where to find examples in your study guide, get you to maybe, like we've done today, do a little bit of interactive activities just to keep you engaged, so that you can be empowered with enough confidence to then tackle your procedures and the findings section of your assignment. Check your email, because you will receive an email informing you of Friday's session. I will put a reminder in the WhatsApp group on Thursday and later on Friday morning to remind you about Friday's session. I will, once I stop sharing my presentation slides, I will once again post the link to the WhatsApp group so that you can join. And I think everybody who was on here today has already joined. I've also posted the link in the chat, in the WhatsApp group chat, so that you could copy and paste it and send it on to other ENN1504 students that you are in contact with, and to tell them about the sessions that we are running on Teams on a regular basis. So you can also use this WhatsApp group chat for one-on-one support. If there's something you didn't understand or something you want me to explain again, I will do so. I can do it in a voice note. I can do it in a text message in the chat. And I will use it for reminders as well. So before you go, what I'd like you to do is I'd really like you to give us some feedback as to what your experience of today's session is, and I'm going to post that link in the chat now. And then we can wrap up the session. Yes, Taryn's asking, there's a WhatsApp group. I will post I'll post it. It's a WhatsApp group, Taryn, that I've created that you can join. I'm going to put the link to join the WhatsApp group. What is in the chat at the moment is the evaluation form, which I'd like you all to complete. And then what I'll do is I will also repost this is the link to join the WhatsApp group. So before you leave today's session, I'd like you to please complete the evaluation form, fill it out, click on the link there, and tell us what you thought. Taryn, just so that you know, I've created the WhatsApp chat in my personal capacity, just so that I can provide some additional support that might be more immediate than maybe coming to Teams, which is what I prefer. But if students are more active on WhatsApp, then I'm happy to provide support there. Or even if it's just to say, rather send me your assignment, here's my email address, copy CT and TUT. And that's the purpose of the WhatsApp group. I know that there are other WhatsApp groups that exist, but this one is specifically for, I'm the admin. Um, I'm doing this in my personal capacity, and I'm just wanting to see if I can extend the reach of the support that we offer in the form of these sessions, the Microsoft Teams sessions, on a weekly basis. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the session. I will turn my camera back on so that you can see that I'm a real person and that I am, in fact, here. So thank you so much for joining the session today, and I hope you found value. And it is unfortunate that I don't have access to that feedback. So maybe as a checkout, we still have a few minutes. Maybe as a checkout, don't you mind just putting in one or two things that stood out for you today in the chat, so that I can get some feedback, and get a sense of what it was like for you today. What did you, anything, what did you enjoy? What did you think, no, not this? What stood out for you? What did you learn? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? Uh, Whatever comes to mind. If you can just post it in the meeting chat before you leave the session today. Don't forget that if you want to go back to the session, you can find the recording on the Western Cape region site. You'll need to log in, and then you can see the recording of previous sessions. The one that's the most recent one, which I think was from the 3rd, would be relevant to report writing. The other 3 that are up there are more to do with the assignment 1. And so wait for this one to be loaded. It does take about 40, up to 48 to 7, sometimes 36, 72 hours to be uploaded. But I will ask them to load it, as soon as possible. Bilkies? Okay, all right. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Bilkies. Okay, so you found that, um, you now starting to understand how to navigate the workbook and the study guide. Great, that's fantastic. Thank you for that feedback. If there's anybody out there who also wants to give some feedback, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, thanks, Tadden. Yeah, but now you fully understand the terms of reference. Okay, cool. So what I suggest you do is watch the recording so that you can get a sense of what the title was all about. And again, just to recap, the title is also, it's quite formulaic. It's like a template. If you follow the instructions in your study guide and your workbook, you will get it quite quickly. Okay, Simvuyele. Okay, yeah. So the interaction. It is nice, isn't it? So even though, we don't see each other or hear each other, we can still be interactive in this virtual space. And we can make it work for ourselves. And yeah, please tell your fellow ENN 1504 peers about the sessions that we run, and look out for your email. Look out at your email, and I'll post in the WhatsApp chat. And let's see how the WhatsApp group goes. Thank you for that, Andre. Yes. And please call me Lynn. All right. Um, thanks for the feedback. I make it very easy to understand. Yeah. The report, if you follow the guidelines, then it's actually easier. I believe it's easier to write than minutes. Um, that's great feedback, Sukiswa. You learned how to find important information from the background. Yes, the title and the terms of reference. It's right there. It's provided to you. And I'm hoping that you will use the next 2 days or so to actually write, start drafting your title and your terms of reference for your investigative report for assignment 2. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It was lovely to interact with you. I enjoyed the session today. You were a really great group, and you made the effort to interact. And I hope to see all of you on Friday afternoon. So, on that note, I'm going to disable my camera, and I'm going to mute my microphone, and I'll say good night. Have a good evening, everyone. Take care.